So I'm just gonna throw a lot of stuff into one video. And as I think I may have already said, I'm making my last couple of videos before what I'm calling, I guess, my grand disappearance from the hellhole cult we call society. So there's that. So I wanted to say that some stuff in this video is kind of relatable with the MPDs. I already have some audio recorded, but I didn't really like that, so I'm thinking about whether I'm just going to put this at the front or I'm just going to remove the audio I already recorded. And then, like some minutes in, I'm going to talk about something else, which is still going to be MPDs, although the video that the screenshot is from is about DID, really, and it's CPTSD. But the video kind of made me think about something that, I remember something I was thinking about like 2 nights ago, and even that I think about pretty often, because I had to throw my dream journal away like last November, or maybe, wait a minute, yeah, or was that more recent? I don't even know, but I know when I was like really demonized from sexual addiction from age 3 or 4 to, I always forget this, I think it was 4 to like 10 that was the highlight, if highlight's even the word for it. But anywho, then I would have like the usual demonic dreams, and there were the common ones where like you're in a car but the car won't stop moving and you're not driving. That's a dream that represents possession and demons taking over your life, which I have a somewhat recent video where I mentioned that, but I don't think I'm talking to that one. It's just like words edited in. And that's one of the videos in the Chomo file playlist about the usual trauma symptom from neglect of chasing chomos and even possible past essay. And so one of the girls who was chasing chomos like kept having dreams about them. That's also a part of the soul ties as well. But she would have dreams about them, and then also she had a dream where like she was in a car with one of them, and he was driving though, and the car was moving and they were talking. And that's one of those possession type dreams. And so I don't really know what all to say about this other than the fact that this was kind of funny, but it also makes me think about that video, I think it was a Lil Wayne one, where I edited in some screenshots from another interview she did at the end, because it made me think about a lot of things, but like there are a lot of topics that I talk about pretty often, from paraphilias to how religion is the NWO, and it's a whole bunch of games and house niggers and white supremacists and pretty much Jezebelic quote-unquote white people and Jezebelic quote-unquote black people. And then also made me think about the anointed, prophetic, autism playlist and different things I talk about pretty often. Even my Gravity Falls a breakdown, which is in a playlist, and pretty much the Gravity Falls breakdown is a long anticipated video that I have been saying I was gonna do since maybe like 8 or 9, but I never ended up doing it, and so I finally decided to do it, even though I really didn't have the time, but I was able to make time. Like for some of those I was in North Carolina still during that whole thing that happened last December and January. But it revolves around the serpent seed and dark anointed, as I'm calling it. They're really just people that are like born and chosen for like a bad purpose. So that's what I was calling it. And I don't really know what the term dark empath means, but that's what that makes me think about, since empath term is often used to confuse people who are like anointed or prophetic for a good purpose, just like with the chosen one term that I also don't like, and even the targeted individual term, which I don't really like that much, but I could see how like somebody who escaped high level trap or something could be getting targeted, but I think everything else is kind of just spiritual. But I feel like, I mean, it could be spiritual regardless, really, but I feel like especially for like people who aren't really being looked for by any organization, saying it's just spiritual stuff. But anywho, that's what it makes me think about. But another thing I could throw in though about the interview is that I wonder if like this is one of those American type things where like the person is like an open, well, I won't even say open Luciferian. I mean, a lot of them are, but people in the West are so brainwashed by the white supremacist philosophy of atheism that they refuse to believe stuff and everything's a conspiracy theory. Like, even the existence of Epstein was something that was considered a conspiracy theory, and so, like, I'm sure people are still lying to themselves now about whether he's a real person or not and existed. So, I don't even know, but I guess I could just say open Luciferian. To then saying that they're a Christian, which the foundations for that is false as well, but that's kind of whatever, though, because still, the main idea is that they're saying that they went from believing in Lucifer, claiming they were atheists, to saying that they believe in God. But I also know that like the UK music industry isn't like as rigged as the US one. It's like it just seems to have real people in there. And I'm not saying that like some of those people aren't still Freemasons and stuff, but it just seems to actually have real people. But in America / Babylon, like all the people you see in the industry, they're like born in. A lot of people like talk about that Illuminati stuff, but honestly, I don't believe in that. I don't believe that like, I mean, these people are definitely in bloodlines, but all that selling your soul stuff, which that's not real anyways, you can't really sell your soul. That's a metaphor, but I don't even really believe in that part. Like, these people are literally just born in and taken through trauma-based mind control and humiliation rituals and stuff like that. And they're traumatized and split and fractured and then given a mic. That's all that is. But all that selling your soul stuff, that's bullcrap because the people are born in. Just like that song, what's that lady's name? Adele made, talking about I was only a child and I didn't get a chance to choose. That's what that song sounds like it's about. But a lot of people believe that she's a mermaid secretly. Just like, what was that other lady? Sage. Well, obviously she's a witch anyways, but I don't even think it was her though. I think it was somebody else. They would like record songs underwater and they would like disappear for a couple years and then come back and record songs, but I can't remember if it was Sage or not. I've never seen any of her music videos, but I don't think it was her though. But I don't even, was it Solange? No, I think that's Beyonce. I don't even know. I can't remember these people's names like that. But I do wonder if it's like one of those, well, I guess for this person, they already kind of had like in their songs when they were younger, they would talk about praying to Jesus and all that stuff. But then like they had the whole what was that song? I'm Satan's disciple, quote unquote, phase, and then now they're talking about getting baptized again. Also, I do know that like it's part of the culture as well. So people will often like just go back to their roots after a while, but I still do wonder about that because I know that's a common like manipulation tactic in the US, like with the Kanye dude and different people like that, or the other puppet, what's his name? I really don't know these people's names like that. I'm not even gonna lie. I stopped listening to music years ago, and some of these people I never did listen to, but I'm trying to think. It's not Travis Scott. It's definitely not him, but it's like, I don't know his name. The dude that made the song "They Not Like Us," whatever his name is. I know he played the same little blasphemous bad guy gone good, becoming Christian. He played that role too, but I don't remember what his name is. And of course, they're all under MK Ultra. In fact, I remember some minister dude was once talking about some deliverance he did, and he said something about wanting to help and deliver anointed people who are like stuck in the music industry. And he mentioned Kanye, and then the demons were like, no, you're not going to get to Kanye, and you're not going to be able to do deliverance. They were saying that they have him in a mountain somewhere, but I'm trying to think of what else I could throw in because I'm in a lot of pain right now. So this part of the video, maybe even a couple minutes before and definitely a couple minutes ahead of this, made me think about the dreams that revolve around trauma, the different rooms in like your soul or spirit or whatever, where like the different fractures and personalities and even spirits would be, and I don't know, it just makes me think about different dreams I've had throughout the years. I know people are always talking about mall world. I think some people may be describing some different stuff, but it could be like that, but it could also just be like you see yourself in like a house, but like the house kind of looks like somebody has like a really bad hoarding problem. There's like a lot of stuff in there that revolves around like the spirits. I assume the sin too, and whatever else. But sometimes the house could be empty. It even makes you think about like having dreams about a grandparents or parents' house, which apparently that represents like generational curses, sometimes at least. But pretty often it does. Oh, that's not really what I'm thinking about, but that's also kind of related. But more so the dreams that represent like soul fractures in different rooms and voids and stuff in your soul. And I don't really know what to say about that, but that's what this makes you think about, this video about DID and CPTSD and Ali Carter. It made me think about that because I had a lot of dreams like that throughout the years. And I wonder if like people with splits to this level also have these similar dreams about like the house with the rooms, and there's like a lot of rooms, or it's like a really big house. It kind of makes you think about that one SpongeBob episode, because I know like I compared it to that when I was like a lot younger back in my dream journal. There's this episode of SpongeBob where like, I don't remember what it was exactly. They went into something, but I have no clue what it was because I don't really remember. I don't know if it was like a tent or what, but they went in there and it looked like really small on the outside, but it was like really big on the inside. And then there's like a lot of rooms and it was like a long hallway. And I'm sure stuff like that is common in cartoons, where like something that should definitely be a lot smaller on the inside, but it's like really big on the inside. Like, I don't know, like a cardboard box or something like that. And then they go in and then it's like, I don't know, thousands of yards or something. Hopefully that's a good enough example. I'm trying to think of what else I could say. I don't really know. And I guess this will be in my Anointed Prophetic Autism MPD DIDs playlist, because it's related enough to that. But, oh yeah, I know something else I thought about throwing in the other day. So, trauma dreams. So like when I would be at my mom's house, or my quote-unquote mom's house, I would have dreams about going back to my quote-unquote dad's house. But when I would be locked up, I'd have dreams about being at home. And then when I'd be at home or just free, like even now, actually free now, I guess, to a certain extent, I'd have dreams about being locked up. Which those are trauma dreams for a lot of different reasons, but I wonder if anybody else like ever has like those types of trauma dreams. And I remember I'd wake up and I would think I'd be at my dad's house, but I wouldn't be. And then it was something else that I'm forgetting. Oh yeah, and I wanted to throw this one thing in because I thought this was kind of funny, and I guess it somewhat revolves around PDs or something. Humor is often a good coping mechanism for trauma. And I know that, like, as I mentioned pretty often, I learned my humor coping mechanism from my dad, and I'm sure it's like some epigenetic stuff with that. And then my older and abler sister learned it from my dad, and my younger sister on my mom's side learned it from me. In fact, during the evidence channels and up until the point before me escaping, me and my younger sister had a lot of inside jokes about a lot of different things that happened that we would just make jokes about whenever stupid stuff was happening, whenever we were just bored. And sometimes my younger brother would be mad because he didn't really know what we were talking about. But anywho, so yeah. But one of the things that goes along with that a lot of us are kind of born with if we're creative is maladaptive daydreaming and just remembering funny stuff that happened. Although sometimes the stuff is things that people wouldn't consider funny, things that people would consider traumatic, but if you know, and traumatic stuff could be pretty funny. Kind of like that joke I mentioned that I would make with a couple people I know, where I'd be like, sometimes you get raped, sometimes you don't. That's funny to us, but like some people may not find that funny. But anyhow, to get to the point, I mentioned in the video, I think on here and on maybe the part 4, 5, or 6 channel, I can't even remember, one of the abuse evidence channels as well, I had this memory and realization that even way before I ever moved in with my mom at 12 and started going through the Cash for Kids system abuse, which a lot of people used to just tell me was like just Munchausen, but I eventually realized that the systems are in and of itself Munchausen because they're made to create an issue that isn't there. I lived with my dad. Well, yeah, I did, but hold up. No, when my parents were still living together, and my mom had like a couple other kids that were like my dad's stepkids. And even when I lived with my mom for a little bit before I moved back to NC with my dad at 4, I'm screwing this all up actually, because at one point in time my older neighbor sister also did live with my dad and quote unquote stepmom for a little bit when my mom kicked everybody out at 14. So, anywho, to make a long story short, when I was a baby and a toddler, and when I was up to 6 and 7, when I was 6 and 7 as well, throughout those different times of me being around my older neighbor sister, before she even really became my older neighbor sister, and things really got bad, before my mom even started showing her true colors, my older neighbor sister would always like make up these different weird problems for me to have. Some of them revolved around her being upset because of our dad being stupid and fake and doing that thing that toxic people do where like they're around one kid more than the other, which my mom never wanted me to live with her. Well, she never wanted me anyways, so that's one of the reasons with that. But of course that causes some jealousy. So some of like the different labels my sister would make up for me would be because of like her being jealous because of our dad being around me more and me living with him. As if that even went good for me, but I understand why she would feel some type of way about that though. As I talk about in my video, what is it titled? All This Over One Man or something like that. I'll put it in the description if I remember, but she would say I had only child syndrome, which was really interesting because once I was 9, I had a baby sister from my quote-unquote stepmom. That was from her being R-worded though, but still. So it's really weird to me, but she would say that, and she would also tell me that I had Down syndrome, and I've never figured out what that was supposed to mean, not gonna lie, but even when I was like a literal baby, she would tell me stuff like this. And I feel like, well, no, in a couple of videos I've made talking about this, I've always said that my older and older sister was a telltale sign before my mom or even my parents got openly problematic, before they started showing their true colors and started being taken over by the dark side and trying to unalive me. She was a telltale sign of all the stuff that would eventually happen to me. With all that little Down syndrome stuff she used to say. But I remember, like, when I was a baby, my older siblings would, like, lock me in cages, and they would do a lot of stuff to me. Because, like, they would watch me most of the time, and they didn't see me as, like, a person. They saw me as, like, a toy or, like, a baby doll, and they would, like, tie me to the bed and all types of stuff. And a little after that was when the whole Down syndrome bullcrap started. And so, and there was something else. I think that's what gets to the point, which is that a few weeks ago, I was walking down the street, and I was thinking about something funny that happened that probably really wasn't funny. And I was kind of laughing, and then there was this person who had Down syndrome that was walking from the other direction, and we were walking past each other, and they were walking down the street laughing too. And I was like, oh my gosh, maybe it was true. That's the funny part. It kind of started off a little drifty, but I was like, dang, so maybe it was true the whole time. But that was kind of funny though. And something that I used to mention all the time on the evidence channels that I completely forgot to mention as a part of the Truth of the Medical System in my quote-unquote series, I guess I could call it, Why Mental Illness Isn't Caused by Demons, which is because it's really just an insult. I forgot to mention that Down syndrome, and I think, was it microcephaly as well? But I know it's Down syndrome. It used to just be called mongoloidism, and if anybody doesn't know what mongoloid is, it's one of the 3 races, and it really just means Asian. Not Asian in the sense that people would think, because when people hear Asian these days, they think about, like, the nationality and the continent, but like Asian as a race, like even some Mexicans could fall under mongoloid. And yeah, there's a lot I could say with that, but overall, they used to just call having Down syndrome looking Asian. So there's that I really forgot to mention. Along with something else I think I forgot to mention, but I put in the description, which is that the mental health professionals had put out that study some years ago saying that sociopaths and psychopaths like rap music or only like rap music, something like that. And it's like, well, shoot, I know they like rock music too. And even this country music bullcrap has a lot of like sexist and weird stuff in it. But anywho, to get back to the point. Oh yeah, another thing that makes me think about. When I was in the Jim Crow self-confined placement, it kind of reminded me of like something my mom's boyfriend said once, which is great minds think alike, which was a very manipulative situation where he would do those weird things that Jezebel people or quote unquote narcs do, which I hate that term, where like whenever I would go sit outside on the porch to try to get a breath of fresh air, he would like just go out there and stare at me or talk junk to me, or surrogate spouse me and dump onto me until I went inside. This was during the situation where like I was scraping up money to try to get a GED, because I had finally figured out how to get one under 18, and it was like a lot of mess with that because my mom really didn't want me to, which I wasn't allowed to go to school anywhere, so there was that. And my mom's boyfriend came outside while I was literally trying to take the test, and he started like rolling around on the ground crying. I mean, I get it, the usual trauma stuff, but he was distracting me on purpose, so that was the issue. Like, he could have did all that stuff when I wasn't trying to take the test, which I already had to scrape up money for, so I didn't want to like fail it. But honestly, I kind of regret taking it anyways. I really don't see the point. But anywho, so when he saw me sitting outside on the back porch, he was like, great minds think alike, and that's when he sat down on the ground and started doing all the stuff to like distract me. But he wasn't wrong though. And that's how this goes into the next thing. of me being in the Jim Crow self-confined placement. So, like, in my head, one of the coping mechanisms that revolves around humor, like, is when people are having conversations, not with me, but, like, with whoever, I would sometimes think of, like, funny things that could, like, be thrown into the conversation to make it, like, funny, if I didn't already say that. And the only other person I've seen do this that I can remember right now is, like, other than, I don't know, commentary channels or something, or cartoon voiceovers, is when I was in Jim Crow self-confined placement. And the staff in there, the abusive staff, they were talking about something. I don't remember what it was, but I remember they were saying, I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to, like, blame you for this or something like that. And then one of the boys in the self-confined placement, he was like, no, don't feel that way, don't feel that way. And I remember that, and that was pretty funny. I don't know if that's, like, a good example, but I can't really remember that much about the conversation, but that's something that I also do, and I've never, like, seen anybody else do it. And funny enough, somebody that has the bad black boy with ADHD label also does something similar. And of course, when you have these labels, it's not only a racial label, and also used to, like, manipulate you about your trauma and abuse that you're going through, but it also means that you're smart as well. But they don't want you to know that, so they'll tell you that you're just a bad black boy, pretty much. And I mean, it's definitely a creative coping mechanism. But I'm trying to think of, like, a good example to, like, make it make sense. So, like, let's say, I don't know, like, somebody's talking to someone, they're saying that I broke up with my boyfriend or something, and I don't hear the rest of the conversation, and so in my head I just think, I broke up with my boyfriend because, I don't know, like, he left me for a raccoon or something like that. That's one example I could think of. So, like, someone's talking about something, then I think about something funny in my head that, like, if it was thrown in the sentence, would, like, not only make the conversation kind of, like, interesting, but would just make it really hilarious. And I think that, like, another thing with these coping mechanisms is that it also revolves around, like, severe neglect and also being in a lot of isolating situations and being in situations where, like, people see you as less than, so they don't want to talk to you or be around you. So, like, you have to, I don't know, just think of, like, funny conversations as if you were in the conversations, but you know you really wouldn't be because other people don't really see you as a human being. That probably made it depressing, but I also think about that part.